price guides. I've talked about them over and over again. I've ragged on numerous ones, and now we're going to compare what the different ones are, what their biases are, and what their intended audience is. We're also going to take examples of coins that sell frequently on eBay and compare their sales records to what these books are saying they're worth. The most common price guide out there today is not new to the game. The Red Book has been around since the 40s. Now, in my other videos, you know I rag on that thing a lot, but I've always recommended that collectors own a Red Book. It has good information in there for new and experienced collectors alike. How much information is in your Red Book will be determined by which one you get, because if you get the standard version, I mean this is a large print, but this is the standard version of the Red Book, it will have a lot of good information on every type of US coin, but the deluxe edition of the Red Book is going to have so much more. It has information on the history of US coinage, it'll have a grading guide for each type of US coin so you can figure out what condition your coin is in, and it has several appendices that are actually extremely useful, like this really awesome section on counterfeit coins, which is actually the topic of my next series, so make sure to hit the subscribe and notification button so you won't miss that one. With my shameless subscription plug out of the way, the Red Book is made for retail pricing, which we can find out more about by reading the introduction to the book. It not only tells us that the prices are retail, but that the prices given are the retail numbers from 2 months prior to publication. Because with the date of 2025 on the cover, a lot of people would think maybe it's 2 months prior to 2025. But it's 2 months prior to publication, so when was it published? Well, Whitman's not very transparent on the inside of the book either, because it only says it was published in 2024. When in 2024? That's where a little bit more digging would tell you it came out in April of 2024, so the pricing for the 2025 Red Book is at best pricing from February of 2024. Now, I want you to hear exactly what they say here because there's a huge key to why this book can be very problematic to collectors. The coin market is so active in some categories that values can easily change during that period. The authors of the Red Book are telling you that the 2025 Red Book prices could be outdated as early as April of 2024. But the authors of the Red Book today are not trying to be deceptive by putting a 2025 date on it. This actually goes back to the first edition of the Red Book that was published in 1946 that had the date 1947 on the cover. If they didn't put 2025 on it, there would be either two 2024 Red Books, or there would be a year there's not a Red Book published to fix that issue. The big thing is to be aware of these issues with price guides, and I've harped on them numerous times before. Every printed price guide is going to be susceptible to the same problem of potentially being outdated by the time you really want to use it. But the Red Book is posing retail prices, which it doesn't thoroughly explain, but it's trying to target that high point of reasonable retail pricing of what a dealer probably is going to want out of a coin, or what you should expect to pay to get one, or what another collector might pay you to get that coin. That's the general theory. We'll test it out with some coins when we get to our examples. Whitman's opposing side of the Red Book is the Blue Book. The Blue Book is much more bare bones than the Red Book. It'll give you a little bit of information about the coins, and it does give you a description of each grade range for those coins, but its primary focus is the price data. Like the Red Book, the Blue Book also tells you what it's intended to be used for. It tells us the values shown are representative prices paid by dealers for various United States coins. These are averages of prices assembled from many widely separated sources. But the focus of the Blue Book is to try and help you understand what a dealer will probably offer you for a particular coin. But if you were to buy a 2025 Blue Book, it was published in the middle of May of 2024. And I'm sure they're pulling that data from several months before as well because there's so much of it, so the prices could fluctuate even before it's published. There used to be other book published coin pricing guides that were published pretty frequently, like the Black Book, but a lot of those have died out, and for yearly published physical price guides, the Red Book and Blue Book are really all that remain as viable options. But the coin price guide world has actually become a lot smaller than people think. Back in 2023, CDN acquired Whitman Publishing, who makes the Red Book and the Blue Book. Whitman coming under new management has been the best thing that's happened to it. Anybody who tried to get a volume 1 of the Cherry Pickers Guide for like the last 6 years at least knows just how god-awful the leadership of Whitman was. Those books got up to $500 in the secondary market because Whitman just wouldn't reprint it despite collectors begging them to do so. But with the new leadership of Whitman, we saw that book republished. But CDN also makes the other price guides we're about to talk about, Gray Sheet and the Coin Pricing Guide, or CPG for short. Gray Sheet tells you right on the cover what it's intended for. It is intended for wholesale pricing, and most people doing wholesale pricing are going to be coin dealers. So this is going to be based off of what coin dealers usually are willing to pay for coins, which sounds an awful lot like the Blue Book, because both of these resources are trying to target that same concept of a dealer bid pricing on coins. Gray Sheet is published monthly as a physical copy. Well, this one's actually July's, but I like the Grateful Dead theme. And Gray Sheet is also accessible online with reference sales history. Gray Sheet is strictly a data book. It is just going to tell you pricing for different coins and different grades. But being updated monthly, Gray Sheet is a lot closer to those actual bid prices for the market at the time. You don't have to be a dealer to get Gray Sheet, but it is pretty expensive since it is targeted towards dealers, especially if you want a hard copy, because the cover price is $40. I think most dealers would say they get way more than $40 worth of value out of that book every month, so it's not a big deal for us. But there's an option built for collectors by Gray Sheet, and that's called Coin Pricing Guide, or CPG. CPG is meant to represent the strong retail side of a coin's value, which sounds a lot like the Red Book, because it is. Just like the Blue Book and Gray Sheet are focused on the same type of information of what a dealer pays, the Red Book and CPG also focus on the same type of information, what that strong retail price is. You can pay for a physical copy of CPG Coin and Currency Market Review, but it's only published and shipped out 4 times a year. But with the different options that Gray Sheet offers, you can get just the online information of CPG, and you can do that for Gray Sheet as well. So that way you can use strictly the online resource or the phone app, instead of having to pay extra money to have a physical copy on hand. The Coin Pricing Guide world has gotten small because this is pretty much it. There are a couple other things out there if you have like graded coins where you can go to PCGS CoinFacts and see their price guide. NGC has a price guide, and some other websites like Numista will have price guides as well. But PCGS CoinFacts and NGC are really focused on graded coin pricing, so they're not going to give you an idea of just what your raw coin is worth. And Numista has a wealth of information for both world and US coins, and I may be wrong, but I really don't think anybody's updating that price guide. Seeing as though all of these options are now owned by CDN, it really now boils down to you either have the yearly published book from Whitman, which they own, or you get the more frequently updated and digitally accessible versions of Gray Sheet or CPG from them. And I don't mean to say that condescendingly to CDN, because so far, it seems at least to me like they're handling Whitman a lot better than it was being handled before. Now having them under one roof might make some good changes down the road for all of these different platforms. Now it's time to do some price comparisons so we can see where the rubber hits the road. But I've realized my old 2022 Blue Book wouldn't be very fair, so instead of waiting the 2 days for Amazon to drop the 2025 version off at my doorstep, I'll just buy the Kindle version. I want to cover a wide variety of coins so we can look at high value coins, low value coins, look at different types of coins, and get more of a lay of the land of where these prices are hitting. First off, let's take a look at an 1857 Flying Eagle cent in a couple of different conditions. We're going to start at the bottom and start with G4. The Red Book has it at $35 retail. The Blue Book tells you a dealer would probably pay $16 for it. Gray Sheet has the coin at $20 and CPG retail is $27. There are a bunch of eBay sales for this coin, but a couple of them that really fit the mold and demonstrate it well. This one sold for $18.75, but it was a buy it now. Someone also held up for this coin here, which sold for $19.95. So far the two typical examples of buy it nows have both gone below dealer wholesale. When we look at auction sales, it gets even worse. This one sold for $12.07. This one did $11.50, and this one looks like a VG that was cleaned and it hit $13.50, so it pretty much is a good. So in this case, we have Red Book at $35 for a coin that has sold at auction for $12 to $13. We have Blue Book telling the collector a dealer will pay him $16 for it, but what dealer is going to pay that knowing that he's probably not even going to get that out of it? And Gray Sheet is really letting the dealer down here, saying that $20 is what the wholesale price is, but at least CPG did pull back that retail pricing of the coin to $27 from $35, but still pretty far off. I picked that coin as an example because I've had that exact circumstance where a collector came in with a Red Book and a Flying Eagle cent in good condition. When I told him what I could pay for that Flying Eagle cent in good condition, let's just say he wasn't happy with the price. But even though a Flying Eagle is a better type, this is a really accessible grade in good 4, so let's look at a much nicer Flying Eagle cent and see if it would do better and be more accurate to the price guides. For AU50, Red Book is $325, Blue Book is $225, Gray Sheet is $270, and CPG is $350. For this one, we're going to have to look at graded and ungraded prices, but let me just give you a fair warning. There's a huge difference between a graded coin and an ungraded coin for this. There's a buy it now for a PCGS AU50 right at Red Book price of $325. At auction, one did $280, and this NGC coin did $260. For all examples, this one did well. It looks like a higher AU. It did $265. This one wasn't titled as AU and did $160. This one did $128. We've got one that looks a little bit clean, but it's really high AU clean that did $188. This is something you're going to find true of pricing guides. When you have graded coins, they're probably going to be a little bit more reliable than when you have raw coins. That's because an ungraded coin has a risk. Pictures, or even seeing a coin in hand, you might miss something that a grader would spot that would make the coin get a details designation, and it's really going to kill the value in that grade range and knock it down. But I have to say, on this coin, Gray Sheet once again was kind of high. Yeah, that first buy it now did okay, but at auction, the PCGS did $10 overbid and the NGC did $10 under. Nowhere near the $350 mark of CPG. And the only raw coin that got close to bid was that really nice looking one, but the auction started at $265, so it practically was a buy it now. Got a few more coins to go. Now we're going to take a look at a key date. Let's break out of the pennies. Let's go for a 1916D Mercury dime. Key dates are pretty desirable, so we'll do this one in good and we might get better results. Blue book is at 900. The red book is at 1200. Gray sheet's at 1,000, and CPG is at 1,250. With the amount of fakes out there, I don't expect collectors to be buying these raw on eBay, so we're going to look at graded examples. There's not a lot of sales history, but we had just enough to get a good sampling of an auction and some buy it nows. The first buy it now went for $11.75. Same coin in NGC did $11.09, and the PCGS auction pulled $11.20. Every one of those sales were right in the center, above the wholesale bid pricing, but below the full retail, which in my opinion is just what it should be for a price guide. So the red book, blue book, and gray sheet and CPG all hit this one on the money in my opinion. Key dates are a stronger and more desirable coin. I was actually kind of expecting these results. Now we're going to take a more obscure US coin, but one that's still in all of these resources. This one's technically not a coin, but a medal, and it was made to commemorate the opening of the Manila Mint, which was the only US branch mint not to be in the continental US. There are just enough sales of the silver variety of this metal to give us an idea of the market. Okay, I kind of messed up. It's not in the blue book. The blue book skims over this section. Gray sheet kind of fudges this one too. It only goes down to AU 58. So in AU 58, it's saying it should be a $700 to $900 coin. The red book says an AU 50 should be about a $350 coin, and an MS 60 should only be about a $600 coin. But comparing apples to apples, CPG on a straight graded MS 60 is $1,000, whereas the red book is only at $600. We don't have a recent one that sold that's that nice, but there are some AU details ones out there that can really show us what collectors are willing to pay. And collectors are paying strong on this one. This one had 2 bids and hit $600, and it looks to be about AU details. And this one was graded as AU details cleaned by NGC, and it pulled $537 as a buy it now. In this situation, the red book really undervalues this coin. The red book said MS 60 should be about a $600 full retail coin, but we're seeing AU details cleaned coins go almost up to that level. An AU details coin should be priced more like XF, which the red book undervalues at $250. Now when we get over to gray sheet, it's a little bit more complicated to see what's going on because we don't have those lower value ranges. Because we've seen some coins that are equivalent to XF range coins selling in the $500 to $600 range. But when we widen it up just a touch to look at what's actually available on eBay, we get a little bit different picture. For a coin with only 2,200 minted, there's actually a decent number of these available in the market. And none of them are priced low, but there are a couple like this PCGS example that's at $450 in an AU detail. So there are examples out there that are priced lower than the sales history in somewhat comparable grades. But the sales history and what's available on the market definitely doesn't support what the red book seems to be implying of a $350 value in straight grade AU. Last one, I promise, but it's extremely important because it's where most coins are going to fall. So for this example, we're going to cover a 1949D wheat cent in circulated condition. I don't have to price check eBay for these because I can tell you exactly what a dealer is going to pay because I buy them and sell them every day. The red book has the coin ranging from 10 cents in VF to 35 cents in AU, while the blue book pretty much says everything under mint state is 3 cents and doesn't even bother to put an AU category on this list. Gray sheet ranges a lot more. 3 cents in AG, 7 cents in good, going all the way up to 20 cents in AU 58. And CPG starts at 20 cents for an AG and goes up to 40 cents in that AU 58. So how much did most dealers actually pay for those coins? Probably 2 or 3 cents a piece. In fact, for me, even if it's an Unk Brown, I'm not going to pay a premium on that coin. I can't even sell all the Unk Reds I have right now. Why would I try to buy more Unk Browns for more than just a common coin? For me and most other dealers, that's probably just going to be a bulk coin, and we're going to sell it and buy it at bulk prices. Now, if it's in a flip already that I can just toss in my bargain bin, I might pay somebody a little bit more than that. My bargain bin and box actually are going to be based on grade pricing because it takes time and money to prepare and inventory that stuff. In my mind, the only realistic price guide for this particular stuff is actually the blue book. It's honest with collectors that dealers are not going to pay premiums for those kind of ranges. Gray sheet tries to fill in the gaps there, and I guess they're accounting for when there's a coin in a slab in those horrible grades. Let's just be real. No smart dealer is going to pay 12 cents for a VF 1949D cent. Now the retail side numbers of CPG and red book are what they are. Remember, if you're trying to buy one of these coins from a shop, they may well ask the 30 or 40 cents for an AU coin that they took the time to separate, paid money for a flip and put it in there, and put it into their inventory, because they now have time and money invested in that coin. But realistically, if you buy a bag of wheat cents from that same dealer, which he might charge you 5 or 6 cents a piece for, you're probably going to find one. There's so many other things we could say about price guides, especially right now with gold skyrocketing. Any price guide that's not taking into account the current spot price of gold is just not going to be useful. But I hope this has helped helped you see that different price guides are going to have different biases towards different coins. They have different goals they're trying to achieve in what they're demonstrating, and they're going to have different numbers. But the hardest part is those numbers don't always match what's actually selling on the market at that time. And if you want to learn more about how to figure out what the market price is for a coin, I would highly recommend you check out these 2 videos on the complexities of coin pricing and 3 steps to figure out what the coin is worth. If you want to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications button so you'll be notified when I have more content coming out. Thanks for watching and see you next time.